Freddie, how did you get out?
I have a very good agent.
Freddie, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the finale and the big twist with the murder at the end with Miss Watson. I mean, obviously the stakes got ratcheted up really high, and this wasn't self-defense.
He just got here. Could you start with like a softball?
Tell me about the languages you speak.
Yeah, no, I do Arabic and Spanish at Cambridge. I didn't speak 9 or 17 or those Madagascars. But yeah, Arabic and Spanish.
Just for the record, he spent his hiatus working at a law firm in Madrid translating documents.
That's right, yeah, classified.
And that law firm was MI6.
That's what people think when I do Arabic. They think I'm going to be a spy. But they think I already am. I'm working for MI5 out here.
If I was Daniel Craig, I'd be very nervous right now.
I guess my question is, you do know most of the other actors, you know, in Hollywood are basically doing drugs and releasing videos to TMZ on their hiatus, right? You do know that.
I know I'm missing out on something.
Yeah. What was that like? What was that experience like for you?
No, it was good. I mean, the kind of internship stuff was all part of my the Cambridge course. I've got 1 more year left after we finish doing season 2, and then that'll be done. I'll graduate.
All right, I get it. You're smarter than the rest of us, all right? Anyway, getting back to the big twist at the end, what did you think about that murder? That really raised the stakes. Like I said, it wasn't self-defense in this case.
Yeah, certainly set things up nicely for season 2, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Nice end to be resolved. I mean, I think we start to see more of a transition for Norman. I mean, not that I know very much about season 2. People always ask me what's going to happen as if I know, but these people don't, and they don't tell us a lot. But it can move forward, you know, not only Norman, his transition towards being psycho, but also perhaps growing self-awareness.
Okay. This question for Max. You know, the story obviously is pointing toward a Dylan Bradley romance, and that can complicate things with Norman. What is your take? Is that something that you're rooting for?
As Norman's brother, I'm kind of rooting for whatever keeps me alive. And I don't know what's gonna make him turn. But no, I think it's interesting. You know, obviously, it's kind of something that I guess I want to see explored, but at the same time, definitely a little bit nervous about it. Not because of her, but because of.
Right.
It's the good thing about being Norman Bates. You know that you'll be there to the end.
Speaking of romance, this is a question for Olivia. Are you rooting for a Norman Emma romance, or do you like where it is right now?
Right now, I think to pursue anyone, I can't keep getting rejected all the time. I can't keep trying to kiss you when you're just not responding. Yeah. He knows how much I love him, but he just, anyway.
This is kind of like the dating game.
Will you be my boyfriend? No, that's no. No, I think it's nice the way it is. You know, just think what could be and the what if is nicer than if it actually happened. No, exactly. But it can't end well either way forever
I
anyway.
mean, it could end well. I'm just not sure if people, you know, want to see that ending. Maybe. It's fair.
Where you going with this?
It becomes like a family show. It's just, you know, Norma and Emma running the Bates Motel, and they have like some children and a dog, and it's like Seventh Heaven.
Right. A question for Nestor. How do you see Romero? His moral code is interesting at best. Do you see him as a gray hat? Where do you see him?
Yeah, he's a guy who pretty much, you know, has his own, like you said, he has his own way of dealing with the law. And, you know, the interesting thing about certainly the first season is that you think on the one hand, Norman comes into this town in Norman, and they're the sort of the kooky ones and the crazy ones, and sure enough, you discover pretty quickly that, you know, it's run by, the town is run by a sheriff who's a hard name, who runs, you know, by the letter of the law. But I think this is a guy
And
who's-
also 173 years old.
Exactly. When Carlton called me and said, "You want to play an ageless sheriff or guy like this?" How could I not? But no, it's a guy who lives on moral code. But I think as you
When we do your flashback episode and we discover that you landed in White Pine Bay on a slave ship, that's gonna be awesome.
I can't wait to do that, episode where we go to Hawaii.
What, you're saying shooting in Vancouver is not as nice as shooting in Hawaii?
Well, the Brady Bunch did it. I think we could do 3 episodes of that.
Great, go to Hawaii. No, I think it could be good.
Yeah, in the first season when it was suggested, I thought this was great. I didn't want to see that. But yeah, let's go, Mark.
I know. Norma was doing research on how Hawaii was one of the safest places to live. We can't rule that out.
Question for the producers. This being a prequel, it takes place in modern times. It's an interesting setup you guys have here. I'm wondering, when you were fleshing out that universe, what kind of limits did you guys put on yourselves in terms of creative liberties you could take? Were certain things in the movie you felt that could not be touched, or were you told, actually, like, this has to remain this way?
No, I mean, no one ever told us that anything had to remain. I think there's certain things that have to remain, that you can't do it without. One is the progression of Norman Bates losing it. And the other one, which was a really important one, was the house.
Yeah. I mean, really, you wouldn't want to see Norman Bates check into a split level ranch.
That would be wrong.
So yeah, we wanted to keep the house and the motel, but we felt that by doing it as a prequel, it kind of liberated us to tell our own story. We didn't really think it was very interesting to just be, kind of retelling something that we could never do as well as Alfred Hitchcock. And so by taking these characters, these iconic characters, and putting them in a modern setting, it kind of gave us liberty to tell our own story. And I think the audience has some idea of where it's going to go, but the way in which Norman devolves and what happens between him and his mother and his brother and his potential, maybe possible future girlfriend, Olivia. These things are all yet to be written, and we will do our own version of that story, and that to us is really exciting. And for us, it was just really a great opportunity to take these iconic characters and reimagine them, in a new way. And then we were incredibly fortunate to attract this amazing cast, and so it's really fun for us. I mean, we're telling this story that people kind of have some idea. Well, it does. It's not going to end well, but the path there is super fun for us.
There's an interesting nod to the original movie, having Norma fight the bypass. That was a cool thing that you guys laid in there. Are there other threads, from the movie that you guys have talked about working in that same way? And how important is that storyline going to be?
That storyline is important because it's defining of their world, because it's all about the success of the motel, which is super important to Norma.
We definitely deal with bypass in season 2.
Yeah, that's a big issue in season 2.
Just entire episodes in town council meetings discussing the bypass.
It's a crossover with Parks and Recreation.
Yeah. It's kind of a civics lesson.
But I mean, there's iconic, obviously there's iconic pieces of the movie, like the peephole, or the rocking chair.
Or taxidermy. Norman's going to be doing more taxidermy. He's going to be stuffing bigger animals this year. You heard it here first.
But it's fun to have those in the back of your head and think of ways that they can organically come out in the storytelling without pushing it,
We learned about the marijuana fields and the Asian sex slave trade. How many more sinister industries are there in this country?
That's a good question.
And if Cass has any ideas of what they've pitched, I'd be curious to hear it.
I think there were 10,000 murders in wherever that place was Angela Lansbury lived. So, cut us some slack.
Fair enough. Speaking of season 2, can we maybe get a few teases about what to expect? Are there other members of the Bates family we'll be meeting? Just anything to help here.
We made reference to Norma's brother last season, and that character might show up this season, which we think would be pretty interesting. Wow. That's overwhelming. Alright, we're going back to the city council storyline. Okay. This is kind of like a little litmus test. I'm going backstage and shoot myself. No, that's good. And then there's some new romance for Norman and Norma this year.
Really?
Yes. And not with each other. Okay?
I was waiting for that. You know it was coming.
Not yet. No.
Not yet.
Did you
Some limits. There are a few limits.
When you guys were mapping out the season, did you know that you always were going to end on that murder? No?
No, I mean, after a while we figured it out. Well,
I mean, I think it was during the last 4.
well, originally we were going to do 6, so, you know,
Yeah.
when
So we didn't know that.
Shelby died, we thought, well, that's a pretty good 6 episodes. And then A&E ordered 10, which turned out to be great. I mean,
Yeah.
like those last 4 are really, my 9 and 10 are my favorite 2 episodes of the season, and you know, Jerry Burns coming in and doing his turn as Abernathy was super cool. So we, it ended up being really good, but we didn't really figure that out until we kind of mapped out the first part. But it actually worked out well because it sort of forced us to, you know, advance the storytelling in a way faster than we expected by doing sort of a 6-episode arc and then a 4-episode arc of the show. So next season we'll just do 1 episode arcs, which would be like CSI.
I think people are interested in part of the filming process of season 1, 2. Can you guys talk a little bit about what that was like for you and maybe a really weird story that happened while you guys were filming?
Well, I mean, I'll tell one story which happened before we were filming, and Tucker Gates, who was our producing director, and I were out with some crew guys, and we were basically, Tucker wanted, you know, the scene in the pilot where Norma and Norman row out into the bay, and they take the body and they throw it in the water. Well, Tucker wanted to basically get a shot of that, of the body sort of slowly sinking, and so that actually becomes like a technical issue of how much do you weight the body, what's the sink rate. So we were out there with these special effects guys in this boat, and we had this dummy wrapped in chains and a motel blanket, and we were like throwing it in and out of the water. And so we throw it in the water, and we're like, that's a pretty good sink rate. And then all of a sudden, this little kayak tour group comes around. And they're like, oh, they're paddling along, and then all of a sudden we haul up this body. There's no police, there's no cameras there. There's just 4 dudes in a boat.
I would have been terrified.
Really fast, you know. It's fun.
That's funny.
You guys are up there all the time. What's happening?
That very boat was sinking too. There was a hole in that boat, that entire last scene. And so there was about, I don't know, 10 inches of water getting deeper. And for that reason, Tucker insisted that we do close-up, medium, all without gray.
That was Tucker's way of just making sure you were pacing it up. Yeah.
It also smells quite a bit at the motel because it's built. The sort of actual hill where it's on is this rubbish tip, and then over the road is this working dump. So when it doesn't, it rained lots during the first season because we were there in the winter. I fear for this summer. The heat will get there, the smell will waft over, the whole place will stink.
He's just looking at him like, what?
Emotional scenes for that reason can be kind of easier to do. You just catch the wind.
And cry.
This
Awkward.
question for any of the cast members. I know we're early on in the show's run, but is there already a storyline that you've been angling for or actually pitched to Carlton and Carrie?
I'm still pushing for Hawaii.
Well, I mean, Vera did pitch a story idea to us, which you'll see in episode 2, but I don't really want to spoil what it is, but it's really great, and we were very excited to do it, and that's really big, and that's all I can say. Vera's,
And the other ones that you rejected, I'm still hoping for 3, season 3 and
Yeah.
4, so I can.
they're on the list. You know,
Carl, how about a cryptic one-word tease for that episode?
Sandman.
Huh.
That's pretty good, wasn't it?
Ooh. I thought it was going to say like creepy or something.
Anyone else have a dream storyline that they're hoping for?
Math.
Do I?
I'm waiting for my love interest, so I'm sitting here.
Oh yeah, we have some. Well, I'm not sure. It's not really love.
I'm just gonna hang out with Remo. I'm just gonna hang out with Remo the whole time. What's better to do with Remo?
I don't think it's the place to tell you exactly what happens with
Uh-oh.
I'm bigger than that. I'm just hoping, maybe.
Now there's some, romance. Well, not really romance, but maybe
That's good. That's good. No love. It's too mushy for me. We're good.
This is a question for Freddie, our one Inside the Actor Studio question. Let's talk a little bit about those blackouts. Walk us through your process. What's going on in your head when you're acting out those scenes? Where do you go?
It's I'm really bad at answering all of these questions about the process and what you go through. You just kind of think about what the character's thinking and then you're there. I don't know. Pretend.
Pretend.
I really do become normal.
It's kind of like right now.
It was fun working with Vera on developing. I think it was in episode 7 of the first season. The kind of voice of mother speaking through Norman, and so where he kind of repeats her words and get that similar cadence. So we kind of worked on that a bit beforehand. So I guess that's a form of preparation. But when you're there, I don't know. For me, I always kind of do the preparation beforehand and then forget about it on set and just see what happens.
Got it.
I think I never feel a pressure to get to a certain emotional moment or a beat, kind of, which is what Vera is very good at, constantly being alive during scenes and keeping on your toes, as opposed to just coming with a preconceived idea that you don't want to change.
Got it. Question for Vera and Freddie, you too. This relationship is so central to the show. When you guys... Central. I'm just wondering, when you guys were getting started, did you guys decide that it was important to do some bonding beforehand? And that's not right. Did you find out the gutter? No, just that.
He kept asking me out on dates. I have a 2- and a 4-year-old at home that needs some real mothering. So no, we just hit it off right away. And I think when you're playing such intimate roles and you're playing these themes out, I mean, you can't have a lukewarm attitude towards each other. Either love each other or hate each other, and I have affection.
Yeah, lucky enough to get on well.
Nice.
But we do disagree slightly on Norma and Norman's relationship.
Oh, yeah.
As to whether or not I think it's slightly dodgy, and Vera's like, no, it's very nice.
We always debate this. Because we play out the scenes and he gets this like little twinkle in his eye, and I say, oh, no.
I like that. That's funny.
This is just a form of Norma's holding therapy. This is going to make you better. But he thinks it's making him worse.
What do you think? Do you think it slightly crosses the line or not?
Yeah.
Does it?
She would say that.
Question actually for the producers. How much do you guys in the writers' room talk about that line, and is it negotiable? Like, when you guys are discussing this, are some people like, we should push a little bit more this way, and other people are, let's pull it back? Or?
No, I mean, it's a gradual process of 2 different psychologies, and Norma is very needy, so she doesn't always see what she's doing because she has that drive to feel she's lonely, and it actually makes perfect sense that he would think
will tell you they grow up so quickly, you gotta slather it on while you can.
Wow. This took an interesting turn.
We'll now open it up to audience questions.
Yes, you with the cat ears and the goggles. I love that. I just wanted to say that. But,
I'm actually Finn from Adventure Time.
oh, Finn, sorry. Oh my God.
First off, I just want to say I really love the show. When I was in the hospital for cancer, every Monday I just look forward to it every day. Just me and my boyfriend watched it.
Oh, that's great.
And my question is, the book that Norman finds in the hotel, would that ever be available in print?
You've seen it online, right? You can actually get the, you can look at it on the internet and download it. There were some print copies floating around. Maybe we can get you one, but we'll get you one. But there were just a few that were made, but unfortunately, it's not actually going to be a published book. But we will get you one.
That's awesome.
Hi, my name's Jeff. I think one of the most surprising and rewarding parts of the first season was the development of the Dylan character. I think sometimes he served as a specific narrative purpose, but I'm curious from Kelly and Carlton, what's his overall purpose? Why did you create him, and how has he developed in your mind?
Carrie. But I think for us we thought of Dylan as basically we thought it would be really interesting. First of all, by giving Norman a brother, it really basically signaled that we were not beholden to a literal reproduction of the Hitchcock storyline, and that there's obviously no brother in the movie, and it just felt intriguing that people would either say, well, I didn't know that Norman had a brother, or well, what happens to that guy, or he's not in the movie. But mainly it was a way for us to sort of have another window, sort of a kind of a character who was kind of looking in from the outside at this very intense, interesting, multi-layered relationship between Norma and Norman, and we wanted to have some character who was close to them, but sort of gave us a perspective on that, who could sort of watch the interactions between the two of them, and in a way be sort of the audience's way of sort of objectively measuring that relationship. So that was how it started, and then I think like all good things, when you're doing a television show, you start developing the characters, you see what the actor brings, and we were really fortunate to cast Max, and the more we sort of saw what he was doing, the more we just the character just kind of grew, and that's really the best part of being a writer in television, is you have this ongoing relationship with the character. You're not just writing something and then having it performed and then it ends. You write something and it starts an interactive relationship in a very organic process, and so it's really something that was kind of somewhat of a arbitrary notion at the beginning seems so essential to the show now, and that's just one of the really great parts of the creative collaboration of doing a TV show.
Considering Norman's Oedipal and dissociative disorders, I was wondering if the writers or any of the staff did any psychiatric research on the subject.
Oh, I've done a lot of psychiatric research. A lifetime. Yeah, of course you do. The first question is what is Norman's disorder? So we had to figure that out and do research and talk to doctors, and it got described as a dissociative identity disorder.
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
Yep.
But yeah, where you basically, it's actually, I'll say this really briefly because I could talk about this for like 2 hours, so I won't. But if you go through childhood trauma and you are really damaged, there's different parts of your personality that will come out at different stress moments to basically take over and protect the host. So that is
Norman's adult now?
You know, I think that Bates Motel is a story with a beginning, middle, and end, and we want to tell the whole arc of that story. I think that hopefully by the end of the season we'll have a pretty good idea of how long the story should last, and it's something that we're actually talking about right now. But I think it is. I think people do want to get to the end of the journey. It is not. It is not an endless journey. It is not something where I don't think that we're doing 14 years of Bates Motel, and so our idea, I think, is to tell the story as best we can in the right amount of time, and I think creatively you've kind of figured that out as you go along. I mean, I think the same was true on Lost, sort of around the third season of the show is when we sort of figured out kind of how much more time we needed to finish that show, and I think we're kind of getting to the place where I hope soon we'll have an idea of exactly how long the show's going to last.
Hi. First of all, I just want to say I love the show, obviously. But I want to, it's for the cast. I was wondering what made you interested in the show? Like, why did you pick this script and decide to do it?
It was just so different. Mostly not because of the Bates Motel or anything that comes with. Just thought the character was so different to anything that I've ever played, and it was saw it as a real challenge. So I was very character driven. And then I sort of did my research and did all that bit and stuff. But
Carlton sent me the first 6 scripts, and he called me first and was really interested in playing a part. I said, of course, So he sent me the first 6 scripts, which is really unusual. Usually you don't get a pilot. And I was up all night reading it. Couldn't stop reading it. It was such a page turner. And as you saw the first 6 episodes, you can see why. So to me, it's always, if it's on the page, it's going to translate. It's much harder to do good work when it's not on the page. And I knew it was going to be, obviously, Carlton. And it's just brilliant writing. I mean, how could you, as an actor, not want to do brilliant character-driven work?
Are we done? Or can I? Yeah, I just look at female characterizations the way my 4.5-year-old son looks at Legos. And he doesn't want the janky Duplo Lego set for like 2. He wants the one for 14. He wants to do the Imperial shuttle, with the double rotating laser cannons, and that's Norma Bates. Right? She's the Imperial shuttle of female characters, and it's just so rich, right? It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, Norman Bates is such a bad gig. Yeah, as everyone said, the scripts were brilliant, and also, Vera had already signed on and agreed to do it with working with Carlson and Kerry. We had a good Skype and seemed to get along. So everyone was incredibly behind it. Not having a pilot process and going straight to 10 episodes made you feel that everyone really believed in it, and so it was easy to kind of get drawn into that vision.
Yeah, I mean, I think we really benefited enormously from incredible support from A&E, and they were so behind the show and so believed in the concept, and they basically allowed us to write all these scripts, and that really created an incredible opportunity that rarely you get in television. Normally you write one script pilot, and then you make the pilot, and you're kind of trying to shove everything in the box that is that pilot, and it's not really the best thing for the creative process. And they were so, as I said, they were so supportive and so behind the project, and I think that by virtue of that, we were then able to create the material, which then attracted these actors, and so a lot of kudos goes to A&E for that.
Oh, there we go. Vera.
Yes, sir.
Crispy Bacon says hi. You remember Chris Bacon?
Oh!
Yeah. He says hi. And then on that note, Carlton and whoever else wants to chime in, since he's the composer, do we get to hear the classic
stayed away from it because again, we really, I think, Carrie and I talk about this a lot, and it's that the idea of being sort of doing homages to the original, I feel throws you out of the story that you're telling, and I don't want, yeah, so all of a sudden you're watching it and you're like, yeah, and you're immediately dislodged from being in Bates Motel, and you're thinking, oh, that's that, cool Bernard Herrmann piece of music, and so I think that's why we would resist doing it, and I think subtle homages, we're doing the whole, but kind of changed up is good. So the whole scene in the pilot, for instance, where they put the body in the shower, but then really the fun of the scene is Romero comes in and he's, taking a leak next to the dead body. I mean, so it was just, yes, we were in the motel and we had a dead body in the shower, but it wasn't somebody showering in the same way as the movie. So, I think that in smaller ways, we like the idea of referencing the movie, and certainly like the taxidermy stuff, things like that, but we just don't want to throw you out of our story by doing too large an homage.
My question is from Vera. First of all, I can't wait to see The Conjuring. I'm so excited for it. Dramatic your character is, how you yell about everything that Norman does, or like everything that goes on. So my question is, what's it like playing a very dramatic character who exaggerates so much? And how do you prepare for scenes like that?
See, I don't think she's exaggerating. But it's a rigorous role. It's emotional, and she turns. She's like the wind, and it's exhausting sailing those seas. But it's just exhausting. Yeah, that's what I want to say about it. And the writing is so precise that I don't know. I suppose that's my sail. That's
Here, when you look back at season 1, what would you say was probably the most challenging scene to pull off?
I would say it's the admission of ancestry. Yeah, I think either that or the rape scene. Just physically, it was grueling. But probably the last scene.
I want to say one thing about Vera. I mean, Vera has to do so much emotionally, as you pointed out, and I've never worked with an actor who has that kind of emotional load. A, makes it look effortless, and B, rarely goes to her trailer. She's there on the set the whole time. So as talented as an actress as you get one of the most giving actors I've ever worked with. So pretty special.
It does seem effortless, doesn't it? It's like, yeah, you think it would probably take so much work to get there, and then there it's just so natural and throwaway, and playing gets the emotion. It's brilliant.
But this guy always shows up on those hardest scenes. And I get so nervous when Mama and Papa Bear come on the set, and it's not.
Just to support.
Hi. I had a question for the producers. At first I was a little hesitant about the show because I'm a big fan of the sequels, especially Part 4 with Olivia Hussey and Henry Thomas as the younger versions. But you guys really hooked me in by mixing it with something else that I love, Twin Peaks. And I want to know, in the future seasons, will there be any chance of us seeing actors like Ray Wise or Cheryl Lee or Kyle MacLachlan maybe showing up in town? I think it would be awesome. Like, I went through Twin Peaks withdrawal after watching it, and then I found all these shows like The Killing and your show and stuff that has a little bit of Twin Peaks in it, and it just makes it, the withdrawal a little better.
That we love Twin Peaks, and it was one of a number of things that definitely that we talked about when we were creating the show. All those actors are fantastic. I mean, so much of it is sort of circumstantial. You kind of have this, you have a collision of a role and then actors, and it's, it certainly would be fun if it worked out that we could get
two different categories. Otherwise, I would pop. This question is really proposing. I'm rooting for you. I want to know definitively whether or not in the second season we're going to see more shirtless scenes of Max and Nestor. Because this pair is demanding it.
That was hilarious.
Are you gonna pop?
What about Friday?
I'll turn it into
I was hoping for a love interest, but that was gonna be Max.
Show could turn in surprising ways. Well, we are shooting in the summer, so that is actually a great problem. Shirtless scenes in Vancouver in the winter are not easy, but we'll see. We'll see. We got to take that back to the writers' room. Duly noted.
That was funny.
Hello, my name is Lynette Grant, and I first of all want to say hello again to Carlton and say that there's so much you can watch on television nowadays, but with Lost and everything that you give us, I will gladly trust my television time with you and know that it's always going to be good. And because of all of my things love of Lost, I must say that I view Max and Emma as our early combined, because, you know, they definitely tell us the story through the eyes of someone from the outside, and you love them throughout, whereas sometimes the other ones are like, I don't like you today. And speaking of people that I really don't like, Nestor, I love you as Richard. Like, I have a bobblehead of you. You were my favorite dude. Even when I didn't know what you were up to, I loved you. I hate you in this, and I think it's fantastic.
She loves to hate him.
I love to hate you, so can you talk to me about kind of going from this timeless character that people kind of love and idolize to this person? It's like, the only time I think I tweeted to Carlton personally, I was like, whoa, he is no joke. So.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons I was drawn to the role, is because I didn't really care for her much either. But no, I obviously did it in the end, and I'm resisting trying to make him, you know, a likable, on the surface guy. I think we'll come to understand him, and as I'm reading these next episodes in the second season, we'll get to know him more and what's underneath and what kind of pressure he's under. I don't want to give away too much, but I never want to play likability. I just want to play what my character wants, and whether you like him or not, I think, you know, hopefully I might earn that later.
Hi, I have a two-part question. I'm the mother of a child with cystic fibrosis, and I wanted to know why you chose to have Emma have cystic fibrosis. And number two, Olivia, you're so abusive to that oxygen bottle. And that is reality of the people I know with cystic fibrosis, so I wanted to know how you were inspired to act as a person with CF.
I have known two people in my life that have cystic fibrosis, and I always admired that it didn't define them. They lived with it, and they you know, had goals like everybody, and I love that for that character. And in a larger sense, it seemed really interesting in this sort of arch world of life and death and Norman Bates to actually put a person who had a real life-death situation they dealt with every day. It seemed very grounding and interesting, and that she would be an interesting counterpart for Norman.
And I've honestly never met, still to this day, anyone with cystic fibrosis, but when I got the script through and I spoke to people, they had so many stories of the siblings, the family members, the friends that had cystic fibrosis, and it's just not brought to light as much as other illnesses are. But what I loved about Emma is that, yeah, she has this illness, but she never once craves a sympathy vote or ever speaks about it, other than when she meets Norman and asks if he's got an illness in a really weird, creepy way. So she's just the character, she's everything but her disability.
Hi, my name is Nick. My question is for Carlton and Carrie. At the end of the 1983 film Psycho 2, we learn that Norma is actually not Norman's mother, but his aunt. And that Emma Spool is Norma's sister, who is insane and in an insane asylum. Are you going to touch on any part of that story?
No.
Simple answer, no.
I mean, they have their own mythology, and we have our own mythology. You know, we pay homage to the original movie, but you know, it would be impossible for us to try to kind of analyze everything and hold it all in sort of one canon. So I think for us, we took kind of some of the iconic things from the original Psycho movie, and then sort of felt like, okay, we're just going to tell our own story, and we'll create our own set of relationships, backstories, and relationships. So, those guys kind of have their own version of the story, and we have ours.
This will be the last question.
Congratulations again to Lara. And is there going to be any story, this is for the writers, is there going to be any storyline between Norma and Norman where there's more murders between them, where they work together?
We're starting a business.
Murders for hire.
You don't really plan out storytelling that way. I mean, we certainly didn't want to do that this year because then it does become a little silly, like every year we're going to kill somebody and hide from the police. So not imminently, but I mean, they do live in a world that is full of uncertainty and danger and strange motives, so who knows?
They love and want to protect each other, so, whatever happens to one resonates very much into the life of the other, so, you never know.
So that's all the time we have for questions today. First of all, I want to thank everyone for making the effort and coming out today. I know the cast and producers really appreciate it. And Carlton actually has an announcement.
A couple, you guys got some keys when you came in, so a couple of lucky fans, if you have the number 4 on your key, you get to go to the base motel party, and please see Megan, who's in the back there.
I got
in the
6.
lobby sign. So we'll see you, a couple of you guys at the party, and thank you guys so much for coming out to today. We really, really appreciate it.
Where's my lucky number? It would have been nice if I had gotten 4, because then it would have been lucky.